Charles. Yes, you have a son. Oh, Sonny.
The seance that supposedly rattles Paulie walnuts is less a brush with the beyond than a masterclass in cold reading performed on the easiest mark in New Jersey. Yet a surprising portion of the viewership, armed with countless rewatches and endless post-episode autopsies, still treats the scene as proof of the supernatural. Imagine being more credulous than Paulie. Start with the technique.
Charles. Yes, you have a son.
The medium opens with the workhorse prompt, son, a stock line designed to hook a response.
Oh, Sonny.
It instantly shapeshifts into Sonny or Sonny, and Paulie, ever helpful, supplies Sonny Pagano, generously overlooking the failed implication that he has a child.
Don't fuck with me. Who you been talking to?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Why? What the fuck are they saying?
Having clocked Paulie's volatility within seconds, the psychic dangles innuendo about violence. Do you really want me to say? A risk-free nudge that lets the subject do the heavy lifting.
He says he was your first, but I feel many more.
Hey!
That one's laughing. Poison ivy?
Even the much-cited poison ivy flourish sits squarely in the realm of broad bait. In the tri-state area, childhood run-ins with poison ivy are as rare as toll booths.
Charles Pagano.
Crucially, the medium never names Mikey Palmise. Paulie does that himself, weaving implication into revelation. Believers counter with 3 pillars.
Poison ivy?
First, that he wants to know if it still itches is too precise to be luck.
Fucking poison ivy all over.
It ties poison ivy to Paulie, and, by extension, to Mikey with needlepoint accuracy.
And then Mikey gave me a message for both of you. Tell Tony and Paulie, 3 o'clock.
Second, the prior scene, Paulie's Gumar's 3 o'clock yarn about Mikey and Jojo Palmise, allegedly primes the medium with impossibly specific knowledge. How else could the reading land so squarely?
I was alone to meet Eddie Lind. I saw the Virgin Mary.
Third, the series has already made room for apparitions and grace notes of the divine. Big Pussy's ghost at the boat, Paulie's vision of the Virgin Mary, and David Chase's oft-cited interest in a Judeo-Christian metaphysic layered over the show's realism. In a world where the uncanny occasionally steps on stage, why not here?
Charles Pagano.
Add 2 extra hits to the ledger. The claim that Sonny was Paulie's first kill, met with no objection, and the unprompted naming of Sonny's given name, Charles. For good measure, someone even reaches for the tired canard that psychic readings are a traveling racket, dressing the argument in an ethnic smear rather than evidence. Now the inconvenient part. Specificity can be manufactured in real time.
I feel your anger.
Who the fuck are you talking to?
Charles.
Cold readers float generalities, watch the face, and sharpen the blade with each flinch. Still itches is the sort of embroidered tag a performer adds after the mark lights up. Confirmation bias then backfills inevitability into what was essentially a fishing expedition.
And then Mikey gave me a message for both of you.
As for the Gumar's story, that sequence operates as narrative priming for the audience, not notarization from the hereafter. If anything, it leaves the door wide open for the most mundane explanation of all, offstage eavesdropping, a staple of psychic scandals since forever. The series may permit ghosts, it also permits grifters. Shakespeare had witches and peddlers both. Consider the supposed smoking guns. First kill is a Barnum statement with a menacing sheen. It flatters the reader's mystique while being almost impossible to disprove in the moment, especially against a subject predisposed to guilt. Charles is a common enough name to ride the odds, and Sonny practically invites a guess at the legal given name. One correct dart doesn't erase the misses the scene quietly elides. And again, no one says Mikey Palmise except Paulie.
He warned you about 3 o'clock too.
I don't believe any of this shit.
The episode's design is the point. It invites metaphysical interpretation while planting every practical tool a competent hustler would need. Broad prompts, elastic phrasing, audience management, and a subject who volunteers details at a sprint. Allowing that the show occasionally shades into the supernatural does not convert every candlelit hustle into divine dispatch. On the evidence inside that room, This is performance, not prophecy. The more troubling spectacle isn't the medium's patter, it's the willingness to treat suggestibility as revelation. Mistake narrative ambiguity for proof of ghosts if desired, but call it what it is, faith. The scene itself offers a cleaner verdict. The medium works a mark, the mark supplies the story, and the audience, charmed by a rash of poison ivy, declares a miracle.
You have any idea what Albert kicked up last week?
Fuck that fucking parakeet. I got a relationship with Tony Albert'll never have.
The running joke casts Albert Burries as a simple mimic. Paulie slaps on parakeet, as if repeating words is the extent of the man's cognitive range. Cute. Also wrong. The echo is not mindlessness. It's a scalpel.
I didn't need that shit that happened the other day.
You don't need that shit that happened the other day.
Consider the exchange with Richie Aprile during the recruitment pitch to turn on Tony. Richie: I don't need that shit that happened the other day. Albert: You don't need that shit that happened the other day. The line isn't agreement. It's a mirror held up at the perfect angle to make Richie look foolish.
I don't give biz to the handicap. See, obviously, Richie, you're fucking deaf. Because I told you 10 times. Then I found out you're still dealing blow on those garbage roots.
The subtext is blisteringly clear. Of course no one needs to be publicly humiliated, called disabled, denied the garbage roots like a rookie, and then asked to pick a side.
Yeah, well, some people are stuffing themselves.
Some people are out there stuffing themselves.
The same pattern appears in the "some people out there are stuffing themselves" setup, met with the exquisitely deflating "what do you want me to do about it?" echo as needle, painless at first, then the sting.
Imagine getting a facelift. 1 week later, you're in jail.
The facelift quip, followed by a week later stint in jail, reads like a velvet-gloved warning. Mock the cousin at your peril. The cumulative effect on Richie is predictable.
No.
How about you, Albert? You weigh in anytime.
He clocks that Albert won't be an ally. Albert lets him talk, burn oxygen, and self-incriminate, while offering nothing but reflective surfaces in return. The method is an old one. Repeat the provocation, let the provocateur keep yapping, and walk away clean.
You know that. You have any idea what Albert kicked up last week?
Shifty is the uncharitable label. Survival literate is the accurate one. Junior and Tony keep him in high esteem for a reason. How does a man get a pass for not racing to report Richie's antics up the chain? Easy. He's a proven earner, which in that economy is the only credential that matters. More valuable alive than dead, even when sitting on a fence. Especially when sitting on a fence that overlooks everyone else's mistakes.
Fuck that fucking parakeet.
So no, Burries isn't a parakeet. He's a ventriloquist who makes his partner's voices hang them. The repetition isn't filler, it's cover. Professional-grade plausible deniability disguised as small talk. Also, for those keeping score of life's petty economics, $7.56 a pound adjusted for inflation. In this world, even the price per pound has a lesson. Value is set by what the market will tolerate, and Albert understands the market better than anyone calling him a bird. The Sopranos' softest punches land when no one is looking. Between the bodies, the bio, and the marinara, the series keeps slipping in tiny domestic jolts that expose the crime family as, inconveniently, a family. The contrast is the point. Tenderness here isn't an antidote to brutality. It's the accelerant that makes the violence sting. Start with a perfect 3-second sitcom inside the season 1 finale.
Who is Artie?
Tony prods Livia about Artie Bucco. She blinks and asks, "Who is Artie?" AJ answers with the Jeopardy theme. Meadow breaks first, and Carmela's prim AJ tries to stuff the chaos back in the box. Annoying kid brother, sharper older sister, parents pretending order exists, an entire family dynamic, distilled and wickedly charming. The sibling grace notes keep coming.
They shot my dad.
He's all right, though, isn't he?
Take more than a Jamaican bobsled team with cap guns.
After the so-called Jamaican bobsleigh team shoots Tony, Meadow quietly folds an arm around AJ. No speeches, no swelling strings, just the rare sight of her protective instinct engaged, and his smart aleck armor momentarily retired. Tony, meanwhile, excels at fatherly mischief whenever the stakes are blissfully low.
It's called a handicap.
He plays Mario Kart one-handed and still makes it competitive, convinces AJ there's a spider by the pool that turns out to be a leaf, and delights in the pure joke of harmless needling. It's the same energy that fuels the domestic vaudeville with Carmela, the fur coat growing a merkin while she tries, with saintly calm, to get actual work done. Even their household errands become throwback courtship.
In a finger.
Carmela flashing on high school Tony as he fills a box with sand for coups, and, adolescent to the end, needs her to hold the string. The show also relishes the dissonance of a mob monarch doing dad errands.
Thought I was in the wrong place.
Meadow spots Tony trudging down the Columbia dorm hallway with a box of donuts, Capo Dei Cappy as pastry courier. An intrusion that reads less like surveillance and more like uninvited affection. And then there's Tony's idea of sentiment. He hears the chai lights, collapses into drunken tears over an ex-Kumar,
You got anything to drink?
and promptly whips Zellman until the man is reduced to sobbing. By the series' warped emotional geometry, this counts as one of Tony's more heartfelt moments. Yes, the love story comes illustrated with welts. The brutality doesn't negate the feeling. It frames it, making the audience complicit in the queasy recognition that, somehow, he still cares. Collectively, these cute interludes aren't decorative fluff. They're the calibration marks in the show's moral barometer, proving that tenderness exists not in spite of the viciousness, but right beside it. When the punchline lands, the punches land harder. The case against her writes itself. In a series where most characters wear their rot like a name tag,
Oh, from who? David Duke?
Why are they talking about this in the basement?
No, try the FBI. I saw it on TV.
Oh, so now you're quoting the FBI.
Meadow insists on the costume of conscience. The performance is familiar. Bleeding heart rhetoric, a polished moral compass, and a comfortable blind spot for the blood-slick staircase that built the house. She sermonizes, pockets the benefits, and, when cornered, offers the most convenient creed imaginable. Everyone's a hypocrite sometimes. How fortunate. The charge sheet grows.
Either that or he wants to kill me.
What?
Some accuse her of selling out Vito for being gay, fully aware of what that revelation would trigger. Even allowing for fuzzy memories of who said what to whom, the criticism lands where it's meant. When empathy competes with family power, empathy loses by technical knockout.
You know, you talk about these guys like it's an anthropology class.
The cultural alibi arrives on cue. Modes of conflict resolution from the old country, where authority is corrupt and survival demands moral shortcuts. Meadow doesn't invent that logic. She inherits it, recites it, and benefits from it. And yet, declaring her the worst of them all, in a show stocked with actual murderers, is a choice. By any workable metric, Tony's body count and Carmela's complicity outstrip Meadow's adolescent hypocrisies by several zip codes. The outrage directed at a teen's smugness while shrugging at homicide says more about audience appetite than character design. If the point is discomfort, it lands. Viewers can watch a mobster choke a man to death and keep eating dinner, but a moody daughter flashing entitlement ruins the meal. On Realism, the room splits. One camp sees Meadow and AJ as painfully accurate portraits of spoiled millennial offspring of a criminal narcissist and his enabling spouse.
Haven't you ever thought beyond being dependent on some man?
Not born killers, not even true sociopaths, just entitled, insufferable, and exactly the social commentary the show promised. The other camp calls foul. Real gangster kids, the argument goes, look more like Jackie Jr., louder, hungrier to cosplay the throne, less Glee Club accessible. Meadow reads less Dawn's heir and more affluent tax attorney's daughter from North Jersey.
You passing social studies?
You just reveal your own ignorance.
Audience irritation tracks with this arc. Early on, parading boyfriends through the McMansion paints a target on her back. Later, as Meadow steadies, the exasperation migrates to AJ, who curdles into something far more pathetic.
So, break it down for him. What two businesses have traditionally been recession-proof?
The discomfort isn't a bug, it's the point. What cannot be dismissed is the craft. The characters are sharply written, and Jamie Lynn Sigler and Robert Eiler play them with unnerving precision. So precise that the impulse to throttle the screen becomes a design feature, not a flaw. Whether that discipline came with a little on-set osmosis from James Gandolfini and Edie Falco is speculation, but the result is not. The kids are aggravating in exactly the way children of power often are. There are side notes worth filing under television oddities, like the uncanny CGI send-off of a certain matriarch, the kind of moment that momentarily yanks the viewer out of the story before reality explains itself. As for the leering aside about Meadow's body, it adds nothing but a reminder that some critiques say more about the critic than the character. Verdict. Meadow is easy to dislike because she's written to expose a truth the show never stops hammering. Most people prefer the honesty of a confessed monster to the mirror a hypocrite holds up. She's not the worst of them all. She's the one who makes the audience admit what it forgives. And if nothing else, credit the parents for restraint. At least she wasn't named after an allergy medication. Lorraine Bracco's missed opportunity as Carmela Soprano is a fan invention built on a strange metric, the stopwatch and the abacus. By this logic, the only meaningful question is who had more lines and a fatter paycheck. Yes, because nothing says artistic success like tallying dialogue while the credits roll. Bracco's actual choice was clearer and sharper. After Goodfellas, she wasn't interested in replaying the mob wife archetype.
Undershirts, yelling. Hollywood tries to give these sociopaths.
She wanted a role with a different center of gravity, and took it. Dr. Jennifer Melfi let her sidestep the cliché and present a well-educated Italian-American professional, not an ornament to someone else's crime story. That is not a consolation prize. That's a deliberate course correction. The money hand-wringing is equally misplaced. Billing tells a story of value, and Bracco was second only to James Gandolfini in the credits for the run of the series, even as her screen time contracted in later seasons. Translation? Nobody treated Melfi like a bit player. Whatever the precise figures, this was not a tale of an underpaid also-ran.
But lately I'm getting the feeling that I came in at the end.
More importantly, Melfi wasn't decoration, she was infrastructure.
Look, it's impossible for me to talk to a psychiatrist.
The show's original conceit, mob boss seeks therapy, puts Tony and Melfi at the series' foundation. She personified the counterweight to his chaos.
Anthony, we've been dancing around this for years. How you live.
The one half of a long arc argument about whether a man like Tony can understand himself enough to change. Call it iconic or call it essential, it's both.
Leave him.
Take only the children, what's left of them, and go.
And Carmela? Edie Falco delivered a definitive portrait of complicity, denial, and luxury's moral anesthesia. The role bloomed, and she owned it. That doesn't convert Bracco's decision into a misstep. It proves the casting worked exactly as it should. Two powerhouse roles, two actors ideally matched. The verdict is painfully simple for those counting lines like day traders track tickers. No, this isn't a regret narrative. It's a case study in choosing the tougher path and shaping the show's moral spine.
I'm not charging you because I won't take blood money.
The mobster may have driven the plot, but the therapist gave it a conscience, and that's worth more than screen time tallies and rumor economics combined. Adriana Lacerva, the woman everyone adored in theory, exploited in practice.
Ava lays his hand on my niece again. I'm gonna tear him apart piece by piece.
On rewatch, the pattern is impossible to miss. She exists for other people's appetites, emotional, financial, professional, until the show grants her one final luxury: silence.
Christopher, you gave crystal meth to his daughter.
Start with Christopher, who treated her like a stress ball with a pulse. His defenders insist he cared as much as a man groomed by violence, hero worship, and narcotics can care for anything that isn't his next high.
We could never come back here, Adriana.
I don't want to come back.
He loved her in the narrow bandwidth available to him, then chose self-preservation over her life. Even after her death, the evidence of feeling curdled into distance, open resentment toward Tony, and a shrugging acceptance of impending fatherhood that read less like growth than emotional frostbite. Call it love if necessary. Call it insufficient where it mattered. The larger Soprano orbit was no better.
She's got it in her head that Christopher killed Adriana.
Tony and Carmela normalized the abuse, herded her back toward the man who would break her, and treated her stability as an inconvenient rumor. Carmela's concern flared loudly when it bought leverage, pressing Tony, nudging an inspector, and then, once the permits cleared, letting the subject drift into the fog of willful ignorance. The calling card dropped in the trash said more about moral priorities than any teary inquiry ever could. Friends? A generous term. Tina circled Christopher out of spite, because nothing says solidarity like trying to sleep with your friend's abuser. The crew leached free drinks at her club, paying in counterfeit currency. Charm, proximity, and the privilege of being in with the guys. The mob wives wrapped their endorsement in ribbon and stainless steel. Bridal shower appliances as a vision of the life Adriana was expected to serve, and serve, and serve. Even the institutions meant to protect her used her. Agent Robin mocked her behind her back, then pushed her into the very corridor that ended in the woods.
There's no way she'll wear a wire, but she thinks she might be able to get Moltisanti to flip.
Law enforcement played matchmaker between a terrified informant and the lethal etiquette of Omerta, and the result was exactly what anyone with a memory of Richie Aprile or Jackie Jr. could have forecast. Everyone around Carmela understood what disappeared really means in that neighborhood. Intelligence was not the problem. Comfort was.
How you doing with the Prozac? Is it helping?
She can't even sleep, Mom.
Family didn't save her either. Her mother tried to warn her about wasting her youth, then prioritized wedding optics over basic health, because heaven forbid, gastrointestinal medication interfere with a big day. The message was consistent with the rest of Adriana's world. Appearance first, well-being later, truth never. As for men who cared, the list is a parody. A tennis coach in a dream sequence. An FBI watcher with binoculars. Vito, who edged toward concern while married and already maintaining a mistress. Chivalry, apparently, is most gallant when it requires no action and risks nothing. And still, Adriana glowed, briefly, tellingly, when the show removed everyone else's claims on her. In Carmela's dream, she was radiant and unburdened, which is to say, imaginary.
Cosette, quiet!
Reality offered Cosette crushed on a bad night, a fiancé who chose the life over her life, and a community that could tally every sin except its own. The show understood the stakes, which is why the last 10 minutes of long-term parking land with the force of a definitive statement. The music, the cuts, the montage, then the refusal to gild the horror with dialogue. Television rarely reaches that combination of inevitability and restraint. It is not simply a high point for The Sopranos. It is one of the medium's clearest indictments of collective complicity. Adriana's tragedy isn't that no one felt anything for her. It's that what they felt, lust, envy, pity, convenience, never cohered into protection. She was loved in crumbs and consumed in courses. In this world, that counts as normal. That's the point. And the problem.
Guy in there killed your father.
The fuck are you talking about?
Barry Hayden.
Season 4 opens with a gift-wrapped answer to a decades-old question. A retired cop, Barry Hayden, conveniently positioned as the man who killed Dicky Moltisanti. How considerate. Then along comes the Many Saints of Newark years later to declare that Junior Soprano ordered the hit. So which version stands? The more revealing question is simpler. What does the episode want understood about Tony and Christopher?
Look, I don't know who told you I had anything to do with the death of your father.
Spoiler. Truth is optional. Control is mandatory. The Haydu setup reads like classic Soprano stagecraft.
Is that him? With the sombrero on?
Tony performs uncertainty with binoculars and hedged affirmations. Can't tell from here. Yeah, probably. nudging Christopher toward rage rather than clarity. It's a pantomime of verification designed to produce precisely one outcome. The episode's visual grammar underscores the con. Tony doesn't identify a killer, he manufactures one. The sombrero sighting isn't evidence, it's bait. Motivation is hardly obscure.
Because he's been useful. But he's outlived it.
A sentient hit is required, and Tony requires Christopher, bound by gratitude, blood, and complicity, even more. Remove an inconvenient cop and weld a volatile protege to the boss in a single stroke.
Once I started the process of bonding him to me, inseparable.
Tony has elsewhere bragged about moves that would bind Christopher to him forever. This is one such move executed with chilling efficiency. When Meadow sputters that Christopher is being used, the reply, "It doesn't matter," lands like a thesis statement. In this world, utility outranks truth, and loyalty is measured in bodies, not facts. The fridge scene seals it. 20 stolen dollars pinned to a grieving mother's refrigerator might be the bleakest punchline in the series. If Meadow is merely a scapegoat, the moment curdles into tragic farce. A corpse robbed, a token tribute lifted from his wallet, and Andrew Jackson's eye magnified by the camera while the music does the moral underlining. Justice doesn't arrive. Only theater does. As for the film's retcon, Junior as the architect of Dicky's death, credit the Many Saints of Newark for confidence, if not coherence. It flattens the show's purposeful uncertainty into tidy causality. Accept it as canon or dismiss it as an undersized streaming-era appendage. Either way, the outcome inside the episode is unchanged. The narrative is framed through Christopher's point of view, and the point isn't forensics.
Did the hit for Jilly Ruffalo.
Whether Meadow pulled the trigger or served as a prop, the drama functions identically. Tony tells a story that produces the loyalty he needs. Facts are elastic. Bonds are permanent, until they aren't. Did Tony know Junior ordered the hit? That question grants him a scruple he doesn't require. Tony doesn't need the truth to act. He needs a story that compels action. If the movie's version is adopted, he's lying with intent. If it isn't, he's lying with convenience. In either case, the manipulation is the feature, not the bug. Complaints that the show should have explained the cop more miss the series' operating system. The Sopranos rarely solves its mysteries. It exposes the machinery of self-justification. Meadow's biography is unimportant because his function is symbolic. He's the vessel into which Tony pours Christopher's grief until it becomes a weapon. The ambiguity isn't a gap to be patched later. It's the substance of the tragedy. The larger verdict is merciless. Revenge changes nothing for Christopher. Killer confirmed or not, canon aligned or not, he remains tethered to the same corrosive mentor who exploits his loyalty and feeds his worst impulses. The score swells, the camera closes on an American president, a 20 flutters on a refrigerator, and the great wheel of self-destruction keeps turning. The mystery of who killed Dicky might entertain. The certainty of who owns Christopher is the whole point. Subscribe for more sharp breakdowns of The Sopranos, unpacking the manipulation, symbolism, and hidden psychology behind the show's most ruthless moments.